I think the Miami Heat have a lot of questions to answer this upcoming season, and they may even have to trade Jimmy Butler. Welcome in or welcome back. Day 16 has us talking about the Miami Heat, and while the Miami Heat have a lot of players that I really do hold dear to my heart, they're going to have a lot of questions to answer because I think the time has run out for them. It seems like prior to this offseason, it was the world's best kept secret that there may be some friction between Jimmy Butler and Pat Riley, but now it's very much out in the open. They have been beefing publicly, and there's even some rumors that Jimmy may want to go to Brooklyn instead of continuing to be with the Miami Heat. And none of this exactly proves very fruitful for the franchise unless the Nets can give up some sort of draft capital in return. But even at that point, losing a superstar of Jimmy's caliber is going to be really hard on the team unless Bam Adebayo continues to have this superstardom that he shows. I don't want to make any mistakes about it. Jimmy Butler is one of the best basketball players that we have in the entire association, even though his regular season stats do not show that. But if you want someone on your basketball team in crunch time, when it matters, you want Jimmy Butler on your team. And I don't see a reason why that wouldn't be the case anywhere he goes, or if he continues to be with the Miami Heat this season. If they do decide to transition away from Jimmy Butler, there's going to be a huge role to fill. And there isn't anyone on that roster better equipped to fulfill that role than Bam Adebayo. For the last couple of years, Bam Adebayo has really increased and ratcheted up his role and his efficiencies within that offense. Obviously, he's an all-world defender, probably one of the only players in the entire league that can truly guard 1 through 4. He has the playmaking ability of someone not on the same level, but someone like a Giannis, like a Sabonis, even an Alperen Şengün. He has the ability to be that high post center hub. He gets his players involved, a good rebounder, a good defender, a good inside scorer. Really, the only part of his game that is lagging in any sort of way is the three-point shooting ability. But I'm not completely sold that every player in the NBA has to be able to shoot. When Bam shoots the 2 or 3 times a game from the three-point line and shoots a decent clip about it, he is proving to the defense that he can do it all, and you have to respect him. So even if you aren't one of these volume guys like a Tyler Hero, like a Duncan Robinson on their own team, not shooting 10 times a game from 3, he can still impact the game in 100 different ways. And after the summer that Bam had, looking phenomenal in the Olympic role, and if it wasn't for LeBron James and Steph Curry and their greatness, there would be a really good petition for Bam Adebayo to be that FIBA Olympic MVP. I just don't see a scenario where he doesn't continue to be a superstar this year and probably gets a lot of All-NBA love. An All-Star, All-NBA, All-Defense, maybe even Defensive Player of the Year. But again, if Jimmy Butler is the guy there, I think it's going to be hard to kind of outshine Jimmy, if you know what I mean. I think there are some other questions that need to be answered as well, most of that being fit within your backcourt. I, as a Celtics fan, love Terry Rozier. I believe that he is one of the toughest guys in the league, someone who you want on your basketball team if you want to win. But it just doesn't seem to be clicking like I expected it to. When he got traded from Charlotte to Miami, I really thought that was a home run swing. I thought that was going to change the outlook of Miami for that entire season. And it just didn't work out that way. And I was really surprised when that was the case. His fit with Tyler Hero doesn't seem to be meshing the way that I thought. And Tyler had some injury stuff that he had to deal with last year. I think that may have played a part in it. But if the chemistry doesn't click with them, I think you may have to shake them up as well. And that's not even to mention Duncan Robinson, who seemed to be out of the rotation at the beginning of the year, but then clawed his way back into it because of his prolific three-point shooting. I don't know if he's going to continue to get that kind of carte blanche trust like he did last year, but Duncan obviously has some limitations in his game as well, especially on the defensive end. He's not a great defender, and even though he's 6'8" and long wingspan, and he has all of the metrics to be a good defender, he just doesn't seem to have the motor to be a good one. So with Jimmy Butler publicly beefing with Pat Riley and the fit between those three of Terry, Tyler, and Duncan, there's going to be some pretty big questions you need to answer, and what if that requires an entire roster shakeup? I really wouldn't be surprised if that's what it took. You can get a lot of valuable pieces for what I listed. Jimmy Butler is obviously going to, if it isn't a superstar for superstar trade, we're probably talking a lot of draft picks. Tyler Hero can garner a couple draft picks. Terry, probably not so much anymore, but there is probably a team out there, think the Pelicans, the Thunder, with a bunch of draft assets that need that bench scoring punch, they could throw a couple draft picks or maybe even just one and some cash to the Miami Heat to kind of subsequent that. And Duncan Robinson is such a prolific three-point shooter that's always going to be on the market, something that's going to be needed from teams, and someone's going to come calling for him. And if all that happens, it's a very clear indication to me that they have decided that they're going to give Bam the keys. They're going to allow Bam to be this Giannis, this Jokic, this big who has the ball in his hands all the time and is making the decisions. The pieces that you're putting around Bam in that situation are going to be super valuable, and I think that they have two of those already. I don't think a lot of people coming into last year thought very much of Jaime Jaquez. We probably all thought that he was a decent role player, a decent kid coming out of college, but we didn't expect him to be what he was when he came into this season. There was a lot to like about Jaime Jaquez last year. His playmaking ability, his rebounding, his maybe not defensive prowess, but his defensive effort was really inspiring. And there were a bunch of nights where Jimmy was having an off night or he was out entirely with an injury that he was really stepping up into that role of being the guy and having the offense run through him. And then in the draft, he picked up Kel'el Ware, who I was really high on the entirety of his college career, and I thought that in Indiana, he was allowed to really show out what he could do. I have gone on record before in saying that I think that he could be this Kristaps Porzingis player, not obviously at the same level that Kristaps is, but a super versatile shot blocking defender who can stretch the defense out to the three-point line. We saw a little bit of it in the Summer League this year where he looked really good. I just don't know what level of confidence that Eric Spoelstra has in him, but I'd have to imagine that there are going to be instances this year where they're running Kel'el and Bam Adebayo at the same time, and I really think that in that sort of scenario, he can really thrive. One of my mutuals on TikTok, Tonie Reacts, I'm going to link his stuff down in the description below. Go check him out and subscribe and all that. Also is really high on him, and we kind of had a discourse about it. He thinks that he could be a dark horse Rookie of the Year player, and I'd have to agree. He has all the metrics to be that sort of guy, and I think that he's going to have a pretty good opportunity to do so, especially in this landscape of rookies where there wasn't this consensus superstar. The playing field for Rookie of the Year is wide open. At bare minimum, I expect the Miami Heat to be what they have been forever. Probably a 7 to 10 seed, probably squeak their way into the playoffs, but then be an absolute playoff nightmare once that time rolls around. If you continue to have Jimmy Butler, you can never count them out because he will his team to win. And even if you don't have Jimmy Butler, I think that they are going to be in very good hands with Bam Adebayo being their superstar of the future. Do you think Jimmy Butler's going to get traded? Let me know down in the comments below. Check my links. Check Tony's links. Be kind. Tell somebody you love him. And I'll see you tomorrow.